Welcome back to the Ultimate Piano Course by Joseph N. In this video, we're going to discuss reading and becoming more familiar with many of the notes on the grand staff through a technique called scales. We're also going to discuss how we're going to know which fingers are going to play which notes. So without further ado, let's get started. To start things off, let's talk about scales. A scale is a pattern of notes that begin and end on the same letter and follow a particular formula along the way. The first example we're going to talk about is the major scale. Now, before we dive headfirst into it, let's talk about steps. A step in music is when we move from one letter to the very next letter, so for example, from a C to a D. There are two types of steps, half steps and whole steps. A half step is when we move from one key to the very next key, like we do with sharps and flats. So for example, an F to an F sharp. A whole step is the equivalent of two half steps, where we move from one key to the next key, but there's one key in between. So in this case, F to G. Or F to E for a half step, and F to E flat for a whole step. Notice the difference. There's one key in between for a whole step, and no keys in between for a half step. The first scale that we'll apply these whole steps and half steps to is the C major scale. All major scales form a pattern of their whole and half steps as follows: whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. So if we count that again, there were two whole steps and a half step, and then three whole steps and then a half step. Let's take a look at this now on the piano, beginning with the letter C. From C, we move up a whole step. Remember, a whole step has one note in between. In this case, it would be our C sharp. From D, we go up another whole step to E, again, the note in between being a D sharp. Now, because we've had our two whole steps, we have a half step. E to F has no black key between, so therefore it's a half step. The rest of our pattern is three whole steps and a half step. So from F, we'll have a whole step to G, from G, a whole step to A, and from A, another whole step to B, before finally the half step from B to C. If you noticed, we hit only white keys. This is because the C major scale has no sharps or flats in it whatsoever. So from the beginning, C, a whole step to D, whole step to E, half step to F, and then a whole step to G, whole step to A, whole step to B, and lastly a half step to C. C major is just one of many different scales, but it's a good starting point because it has no sharps or flats. Once we start to introduce sharps and flats though, things get a little complicated. So for us to deal with that, we're going to learn something called the circle of fifths. Take a look at this diagram of the circle of fifths. At first glance, there's a lot of information going on and none of it seems to make much sense. But hidden underneath are all of the patterns required for us to play and understand every single one of the major scales. The circle of fifths diagram lists all of our key signatures, which is a term describing the sharps and flats in our major scales. Each major scale has a letter, which tells us the name of the major scale, as well as a key signature, which is all of the sharps and flats of that major scale written on the staff. Beginning at the top of the circle of fifths, we have the letter C for C major. As we move clockwise around the circle of fifths, we sequentially add one sharp to each key signature. So G has one sharp, D has two sharps, A has three sharps, and so on. As we move counterclockwise around the circle of fifths, we add flats. And again, it's sequential. So F major will have one flat, B flat major has two flats, E flat major has three flats, and so on. The reason the circle of fifths is even called the circle of fifths is because each time we move one unit to the left or to the right, we're moving by an interval of a fifth on the piano. And we can see that for ourselves. When we move from a C to a G, you count all the notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we've moved by a fifth. Same thing from G to D, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we've moved by a fifth. And this works the other way. C to F is also a fifth. So every unit is a fifth apart. Here's a useful mnemonic to help us memorize the order of the sharp and flat key signatures. For the sharp key signatures, think Kaylee gets drunk and eats butterflies. For the flat key signatures, think Kelly fixes bead, like the bead of a necklace. We not only have a powerful tool in mnemonics to help us figure out the order of major scales, but we have another pattern that's going to help us find the order of sharps and flats that are added in each of our key signatures. For sharp key signatures, the next sharp that is added is going to be a half step below our next key. So for example, in the key of C major, when we move to G, the sharp that is added is a half step below, so therefore F sharp. So the key of G major will have an F sharp. Going a step further, when we move to D major, we'll add C sharp because it's a half step down. We also keep the previous F sharp that we added. So now D major has F sharp and C sharp. If we go a step further, A major will have F sharp, C sharp, and now G sharp. Heading in the opposite direction in the circle of fifths, the next flat that's going to be added is actually the next key in the circle of fifths itself. So once again, let's start on C. C has no sharps, no flats. Once we move down a fifth, we land on F major. F major has one flat. But to find that flat, we have to go another fifth down. We end up on B flat, and that is going to be the flat that we add in the key of F major. So once again, C major has no sharps or flats. Down a fifth to F major, we have one flat, and the flat that we added would be another fifth down, B flat. So continuing on from there, while we know B flat is the next key, so B flat major would have two flats. It would have the B flat itself, but now we have to go down another fifth to find the next flat, and that would be E flat. So the key of B flat major has B flat and E flat. The diagram below shows all of the major scales highlighted on the piano itself. They're arranged in the same format as the circle of fifth, with C major at the top, followed by G major, and continuing clockwise. Don't worry about being able to play them right now. We're going to go over them in much more detail later in this video. Now that we know how to construct our scales from the circle of fifths, let's break them down and take a look at their individual components, called scale degrees. Each note within the scale has a scale degree to itself. So for example, in C major, C would be the first scale degree, D would be the second scale degree, E is third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and the next C would repeat back to the first scale degree. Each scale degree has a name as well. Each scale degree has a name that provides a bit of information about its placement within the scale. Going back to C major, the first scale degree, C, is also called the tonic. Jumping ahead to the fifth scale degree, G, this one is called the dominant. The tonic and the dominant form a foundation for many musical compositions we hear every day, but they're also very useful for helping us find the names of all the other scale degrees. Going back to tonic, the next one up would be D. Scale degree 2 we call supertonic, and you can think it's above the tonic, so it's supertonic. The next scale degree 3 is called the mediant, because it is between the tonic and the dominant. It's the halfway point. And scale degree 6 is called submediant. And this is called the submediant because it's between the next tonic and the subdominant. So it's the submediant, the halfway point. Lastly, we have scale degree 7, otherwise called the leading tone because it leads back to tonic. So from the beginning, tonic, supertonic, mediant, are halfway between tonic and dominant, subdominant, dominant, submediant, the halfway between subdominant and the next tonic, and finally, leading tone to our tonic. Let's try it out in G major next, using a bit of every tool we've discussed so far. Remember, we don't need to use all of these tools at once, but having them all at our disposal lets us pick and choose the best ones for us at any time. First, let's take a look at the circle of fifths. C major had no sharps or flats, but G major is a fifth to the right of C, therefore we add one sharp. The sharp that we add is a half step below our current key signature, so F sharp. Going to the piano, the first scale degree of our scale in G major, the tonic, is going to be G. In a major scale, we go up a whole step first. From G, that's going to land us on A. A is the second scale degree, otherwise called the supertonic. The next one is another whole step up, and that takes us to B, our third scale degree, the mediant. Going up now a half step, we're going to land on C, and this is going to be our fourth scale degree, the subdominant. The fifth scale degree will be another whole step up, and that's going to be the dominant. Going up another whole step, we'll land on the submediant. Another whole step takes us to our F sharp, and this is the leading tone, leading us to the next tonic, another half step up, G. Now that we know how the scales are built, it's time for us to learn how to play them properly using the correct fingers. It's one thing to poke them out using 1 or 2 fingers at a time, but that's not precise or accurate at all, and as soon as we try to go fast, it's going to fail us entirely. If we wanted to play something like this, you're going to need to know the exact fingerings to use for every scale. The finger numbers themselves are actually quite simple. For both hands, the thumb is number 1, the index fingers are number 2, the middle fingers are number 3, the ring fingers are number 4, and the pinkies are number 5. We always work outwards from the thumb being 1 to the pinky being number 5. So it's a mirror image of each other. Now let's go over the fingerings for all of the major scales in the circle of fifths, beginning with C major. To start, let's go to C with our thumb, the first finger. Next we'll have 2, 3. We're going to cross our thumb underneath to hit F. Then we'll have 2 again, 3, 4. And now, depending on whether or not you're going to end your scale, we either use the pinky to finish, or we'll continue by crossing our thumb under once again and going back to C, just like we started at the very beginning. So let's continue one more octave. From C, we have our thumb, first finger goes to 2, 3, cross under, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and now we'll end with our pinky. Going down, we just do it in reverse. 4, 3, 2, 1. And instead of crossing under, we're going to cross our 3 over. 3, 2, 1. Same thing, cross the 4 over. 4, 3, 2, 1. Cross our 3 over. 2, and we'll end on our thumb. Once more. C major in the left hand begins much the same as C major in the right hand ended. When we got to the top of the right hand, we ended on a pinky. For the left hand, we're going to begin on a pinky. To start, we go to C with our pinky, number 5. Then we'll have 4, 3, 2, 1, and we'll cross over to 3, 2, 1. If we wanted to keep going, we'll do another cross. Otherwise, we'll just turn around and go backwards. So let's keep going one more octave. We'll cross over our 4th finger, which is the same finger we had as the second note and our first octave. From here, we'll have a 3, 2, 1, cross over 3 again, 3, 2, and we'll end on 1. Going down, we'll just do it in reverse. 2, 3, and now we'll cross our thumbs under again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we'll end on our pinky. We're going to cycle through all of the major scales 1/2 step at a time. So from C major, we're now going to go to D flat major. D flat major doesn't begin on a thumb. In fact, we don't put thumbs on black keys at all in scales. We're instead going to start on a 2. And D flat major has 5 flats. So let's follow along. We have D flat, our second finger, E flat is a 3. We'll cross under to F with our thumb. And then we'll have G flat is a 2. A flat is 3. B flat is 4. We'll have a cross again, 1 on C, 2 on D flat. And we repeat. 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, and we'll end on 2. And now we go in reverse. 1, cross over to our 4, 3, 2, 1, cross over to 3, 2, 1, cross over to 4, 3, 2, 1, cross over to 3, and end on 2. Now we'll do D flat major in the left hand. For the left hand, we begin on a 3. Then for E flat, we'll have a 2. And continuing on, we have 1, cross over to 4, 3, 2, 1, cross over to 3, 2, 1, cross over to 4, 3, 2, 1, and we'll end on either a 2 or a 3. Now we go in reverse. 1, 2, 3, 4, cross under to 1, 2, 3, cross under to 1 again, 2, 3, 4, cross to 1, 2, 3. Have you noticed a pattern yet with the scales? Anytime we cross underneath, it's going to be a thumb. And anytime we cross over, it's going to be a third or a fourth finger. In fact, all of our groupings of notes file either into groups of 3 or 4 at a time. So we always go 1, 2, 3 and cross, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, and then cross again. So we'll always have this alternating pattern of 3 and 4 notes as we move up and down our scales. Next up is D major. D major has 2 sharps, F sharp and C sharp. And we're going to begin on our first finger. For the right hand, we have 1, 2, 3, cross under, 1, 2, 3, 4, cross again, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we'll end on 5. Going down, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. For the left hand, we start on a pinky. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, cross over to 3, 3, 2, 1, cross over to 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, and we'll go in reverse. 2, 3, cross under to 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, cross under to 1 again, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we'll end on a pinky. Next up, E flat major. For the right hand, we'll begin on the second finger. We'll go 2, immediately thumb cross, 1, 2, 3, 4, cross to 1, 2, and 3. Then we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. And we'll go back down. 2, 1, cross to our 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we'll end on either 2 or 3. For the left hand, we'll begin on a third finger. 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you end on either 2 or 3. Going down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Be careful with E major. The key signature only has 4 sharps, so we only have 4 of the 5 black keys. Don't accidentally hit A sharp by mistake. We'll begin on 1, 2, 3, A natural, that'll be our 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we'll end on a pinky. Going down, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. For the left hand, we'll begin on a pinky. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, cross to 3, 2, 1, cross to 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. Going down, 2, 3, cross your thumb under, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Up until now, all of the white key major scales have always started with a group of 3, 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. F major begins with 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3. So it'll feel a little bit backwards. Let's hop right to it though. Starting with F, we'll use our first finger. 1, 2, 3, 4 on B flat, cross to 1, 2, 3, and then cross to 1 on F. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and we'll end on a 4, not a 5. Going down, 3, 2, 1, cross to 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1. For the left hand, it's actually much like all the other white key scales we've already done. We're going to begin on a pinky. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Cross to 3, 2, 1. Cross to 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. Going down, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Cross to 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, and end on 5. For F sharp major, be careful when you get to the groups of 2 white keys next to each other, B and C, and E and F. Here, we actually have an E sharp, so that can throw you off if you're not careful. For the right hand, we'll begin with a 2 on F sharp. 2, 3, 4, 1 goes on B, 2, 3, and then the 1 will go on E sharp, and then we have our 2 on F sharp. Continuing, 3, 4, 1 on B, 2, 3, 1 on E sharp, and then we'll end on 2. Going down, 1, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, and we'll end on 2. For the left hand, we'll begin on a 4th finger. 4, 3, 2, 1 on B, 3, 2, 1 on E sharp, and then 4 again. 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, end on a 2 or a 3. Going down, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, end on a 4. We've already tried out G major once, but let's do it again with the proper fingering. We'll begin with 1 on G. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4 on F sharp, and 1 on G. Keep going. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we'll end on pinky. Going down. 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. For the left hand, we'll begin with the pinky. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. Going down. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we'll end on 5. A flat major is much like E major in that we only have 4 of the 5 black keys. In this case, we don't have a G flat, so make sure not to hit it by mistake. For the right hand, we'll begin with a 2 on A flat. 2, 3, cross to 1, 2, 3, cross to 1 again. We'll have a 2 on G, and then we'll have 3 on A flat. Going on, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and we'll end on 3. Going down, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, and you can end with 3, 2, or 4, 3. For the left hand, we'll begin with a 3 on the A flat. 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, and again you can end on either a 2 or a 3. Going down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and we'll end on 3. For A major, we'll begin with our thumb on A. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we'll end on 5 and go down. 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. For the left hand, begin on a pinky. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. Going down. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we'll end on 5. For B flat major, we'll begin with 2 on B flat in the right hand. 2, cross to 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and we'll end on 4. Going down. 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, and you can end on 2 or cross again to 4. For the left hand, begin with 3 on B flat. 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we'll cross to 3 to finish it. Going down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and we'll end on 3. B major is our final scale, and it happens to have all 5 of the black keys. For the right hand, we'll begin with a 1. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, end on 5, and we'll go down. 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, and we'll end on 1. The left hand is much like F major was, where we have 2 groups of 4 notes to begin. So we'll start with the 4th finger on B. 4, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, end on 1, and we'll go down. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and we'll end on 4. We had a short recap in the middle of the video, but let's fully recap everything we've learned thus far. To begin, we started with scales. A scale is a series of notes that begins and ends on the same letter, but follows a particular formula. We followed the major scale, which has a formula of 2 whole steps, a half step, 3 whole steps, and another half step. A half step is when we move from one key to the very next key, regardless of color, so there are no keys in between them. A whole step is the equivalent of 2 half steps, so there will be 1 key between those 2 notes. To learn the components of the major scales, we used the circle of fifths. The circle of fifths is a diagram that illustrates the names of all the major scales on the outside, and the key signatures associated with those scales on the inside. A key signature is simply the sharps or flats that are associated with each major scale. To move on the circle of fifths, you move by an interval of a fifth, which is 5 notes. Whenever we move by an interval of 5 notes, we add a sharp if we move clockwise, or a flat if we move counterclockwise. To remember the order of sharps in the circle of fifths, use the mnemonic Kaylee gets drunk and eats butterflies. To remember the order of flats, use Kaylee fixes bead, like the bead of a necklace. When we move clockwise in the circle of fifths, we add sharps to our key signatures. The sharp that is added is a half step below the next major scale that we are moving to. When we move left, we add flats. The flat that is added is the next key within the circle of fifths. Once you know the key signature for the scale you are about to play, you can also name each of the scale degrees. A scale degree is simply the name for each note in the order of the scale, beginning with tonic on the first scale degree, then supertonic, mediant, subdominant, dominant, submediant, leading tone, and leading back to tonic. Lastly, in order to play each of the scales, we have to use the correct fingering. For both hands, the thumb is going to be finger number 1, the index finger is finger 2, the middle finger is finger number 3, the ring finger is finger number 4, and the pinkies are number 5. Both hands are a mirror image of each other. Make sure to put all of these scales and fingerings into practice, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.